Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we're going to discuss a very famous verse from the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. You can repeat after me. Bhaktya
Bhaktya
Mam
Mam
Abhijanati
Abhijanate
Yavan
Yavan Ya
Chasmi Tatvatah Tato Mam Tatvato Gyatva Vishate Tan Anantaram Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati Yavan Yachasmi Tatvatah Tato Mam Tatvato Gyatva Vishate Tadanantaram. So sweet, isn't it? Even if you don't understand one word, just by hearing this Sanskrit, which is chanted by God, you will benefit. Do you have a Russian Gita here handy? This is printed in India, I think. We printed this Gita in India also. Okay, you can chant after me again, okay? Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati Yavan Yachasmi Tatvatah Tato Mam Tatvato Gyatva Vishade Tad Anantaram Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati Yavan Yachasmi Tatvatah Tato Mam Tatvato Gyatva Vishate Tat Anantaram Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati Yavan Yachasmi Tatvatah Tato Mam Tatvato Gyatva Vishate Tat Anantaram Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurmilatan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamrupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantika Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamnan Shri Gurun Vaishna Manashta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vidam Tam Devam Sadvaitam Sabadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padat Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Nitamshta Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati Yavan Yachasmi Tatvatah Tata Mam Tatvato Gyatva Vishate Tat Anantaram. So in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna summarizes the whole philosophy again. Actually, Krishna could have said the whole philosophy in 2 verses. In one verse, he could have said, you're not this body. And in the other verse, he could have said, surrender to me. But these 2 points, Krishna has made again and again from different angles. So in this verse, Krishna is telling us how we can know him. You may be a member of the World Academy of Sciences. You may have received few Nobel Prizes. But that doesn't mean you can know God. You may be very rich, richest man of the world. That doesn't mean you can know God. You may be very beautiful, handsome. Still, that doesn't give you the license to know God. So how do you get the license to know God? That is a secret. But it's a public secret. After all, Krishna tells Arjuna, I'm imparting this most confidential knowledge to you. So most confidential knowledge means secret, isn't it? But Krishna gives it to Arjuna because Arjuna is his friend and devotee. Therefore, Krishna says you can understand the transcendental secrets of this great science. Why did Krishna give this philosophy to Arjuna? Arjuna was not a sannyasi. He was not a brahmachari. He was a grihastha, like most of you are. But he had one qualification. He was a devotee of the Lord. And therefore, he was selected to receive this knowledge. Different people have different concepts of God. Some say nature is another form of God. Some say that yes, there is one supreme boss, but he has no form. Some say yes, there is some supreme power, but we can never know that power. And some say yes, there is a supreme power who has a form, and we can know him, but by devotional service. So Krishna is saying that he can be understood in his position as the Supreme Lord only by devotional service. So what is devotional service? Devotional service is the science by which you engage the senses in service to the Lord. So this is a whole science. Not that it requires no study. The Vedas are so vast that even if you were to read these books day and night, till by the end of this life, you will hardly read a fraction. So actually this is very scientific. For example, whatever is being discovered by modern science today has already been established in the Vedas. For example, scientists have just discovered that there is life in the body, there's soul in the body. But this was predicted this was explained in the Bhagavad Gita thousands of years ago. America and Russia, after spending billions of dollars, they have come to realize that there's life on other planets. But this was already pre-told in the Shastras thousands of years ago. So everything that we're discovering is already discovered. There's nothing to discover. We only have to follow. So, Krishna, the technique by which you can know God is known as the technique of devotional service. So, devotional service is the science by which we don't let the senses wander everywhere, but we bring the senses in the right direction. This is much more difficult than getting few scientific or some degrees. There are thousands of people who are graduating from universities every year. But how many are graduating from the University of Mind Control? How many are graduating from the University of Controlling Senses? Very few. So this science is more difficult than the so-called science that we are attached to. Devotional service means that with love we serve the Lord. Just like the mother brings up a child. These days, of course, the mothers are so cruel that they don't mind killing their children in the form of abortion. But generally, like the mother serves the child with love, so one should serve the Lord with love. We have to serve somebody or the other. Just like within wood there is the propensity of fire, so within everyone there is the desire to love. In the material world, what is accepted as love is actually lust. Love and lust are not the same. Chaitanya Charitamrita explains that just like gold and iron are both metal, but there's a difference of day and night between the two metals. So there's a big difference between what is known as love and lust. Love has to be one-sided. It is not a business transaction. It is not a transaction like you go into a shop. You go into a shop and you pay a certain amount, and in exchange you walk out with a product. And when you do a job, you offer 40 hours or 35 hours of service a week, and in return you expect a certain salary. Love means where you're ready to do anything for the other person without expecting anything in return. So thou, the devotee, does not expect anything in return. The Lord is so kind that he does not forget his devotee. Krishna tells Arjuna, please declare to the world that my devotee will never perish. Before the battle of Kurukshetra started, Krishna had promised the two sides that he would not enter the battle on either side. Because as you know, the battle of Kurukshetra was a battle fought between two families. You know the story, everyone? Anyway, I'll just explain in brief again. So the Pandu, who was the king of the whole planet, he died at a young age. So his children, who should have become the king, Yudhishthira Maharaj, for example, they were all very young. So the elder brother of Pandu, his name was Dhritarashtra. He was blind by birth and he was also spiritually blind. He was a caretaker of the empire. He was going to take care of the empire. But Dhritarashtra had children, and the eldest was Duryodhana. So Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, when the Pandavas were grown up, when the time came for the kingdom to go back to them, they said, no, we can't give your land back to you. The Pandavas were so renounced and detached, they said, okay, you don't want to give the whole kingdom? Fine. Just give us enough, just give us 5 villages, one for each brother. Imagine if someone's a ruler of the whole country, and someone says, oh, just give me 5 small villages. But Dhritarashtra and his son Duryodhana said, no, we won't even give you enough land to put a needle. Kṛṣṇa personally came and told the Pandavas and told the Kauravas, please give their land back, don't fight. But when they refused, there was no alternative. Sometimes people say, what type of religion do you follow? Is killing in your religion? I thought God advocated peace, but your God is killing. So we tell these people, when the Lord kills, those who get killed, they get liberated. But when you kill, you go to hell and they go to hell. When the doctor performs an operation, the police doesn't come and arrest him. But when the mafia kills you, then you get arrested by the police. Is it not? Same rule in your country also. So, when Kṛṣṇa kills, they all get liberated. All those who saw Kṛṣṇa before dying, they were all liberated. So in the battle of Kurukshetra, most of the big generals were on the side of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. There were 2 opposing sides. One was the Pandavas, one was the Kauravas. So the Kauravas were asked, okay, what do you want? They said, we want the latest missiles and the best generals. So all the latest technological weapons were on the side of the Kauravas. It's like America and Russia on one side. And what did the Pandavas have? They had Kṛṣṇa on their side. So when the battle was going on, Duryodhana, he went up to Bhismadev. Bhismadev was the biggest general of that time. He said, why hasn't Arjuna died so far? You are being biased towards Arjuna. You are trying to protect him. By now Arjuna should have died. So Bhismadev felt very offended. He said, Bhismadev actually was a great devotee of Lord Kṛṣṇa. He was fighting on the other side for diplomatic reasons. A devotee's desire is always to make his Lord more famous. So Bhismadev said, either Kṛṣṇa will have to break his promise, that he will not take up arms in this battle, or Arjuna is going to die. So Bhismadev fought very bravely, valiantly. Actually, there should be a little gap between men and women. They shouldn't sit right next to each other. So, actually, on the previous night, Bhismadev had prepared 4 arrows and he had made them sharp so that next morning he would shoot them. But Arjuna knew that Bhismadev had made these arrows sharp to shoot at him. So Arjuna stole them in the night. So Bhismadev knew that this was Arjuna's trick. These days when we fight, we attack each other in the night. Our nuclear bombs, our planes fly in the night when people are sleeping. And they kill everyone, guilty or innocent, innocent or guilty. But in the Vedic days, they would fight between 9 to 5. And in the morning and the evening, they would eat together. And in the morning and evening, they would eat together. They would eat in the morning and then again in the night. And in the daytime, they would go and fight. And if the other side did not have a gun and was not ready, then they would not fight. These days, our strategy is just to hit from the back. And the king would be right in the front of the battle fighting. These days, the kings are heavily protected behind strong forts, and the poor soldiers go out to die. So, Bhismadev knew that now he has to defend his honor because he was a Kshatriya. And Duryodhana was telling him, you are not fighting like a Kshatriya. Okay. So then, when Kṛṣṇa saw that now Arjuna was going to die because Bhismadev was shooting very angrily, then Kṛṣṇa ran from his chariot. Kṛṣṇa ran down with the chariot and he threw and he released his Sudarshan Chakra, and he even broke his promise that he will not take up arms in this battle in order to protect his devotee Arjuna. So the point is that one who takes shelter of Arjuna Krishna will be protected by him. So when we tell our devotees, please chant 16 rounds minimum, abstain from illicit sex, abstain from gambling, abstain from meat, abstain from intoxication, these are not easy principles to avoid. We are telling them this because by taking this medicine, they'll get purified. And by this purification, they'll be able to experience a higher level of happiness. Initially, I have experienced when somebody meets a devotee and he's told what are 4 regulative principles, so they say, oh, impossible, not for me. Don't waste my time. Then when they begin to chant, it becomes so easy to follow the rules. Whenever you have a severe disease, the cure is always a little bitter. In Ayurvedic science, the theory is the more serious the disease, the more bitter the medicine. When you have to go through an operation, there is pain in the beginning, but in the end it becomes joyful. You agree to undergo the pain of an operation because you know that by going through this pain, in the end you will become healthy for sense enjoyment. So similarly, by practicing austerity for a higher cause, there is going to be gain in the end. In the material world, when you do a small favor to someone, the person reciprocates with you. He may reciprocate or he may not reciprocate. But when you make some sacrifices for God, there is definitely reciprocation. So devotional service means you acknowledge that these senses don't belong to you, but they belong to Krishna. These eyes don't belong to you, they don't belong to Mr. Maya, but they belong to Krishna. The ears, the tongue, the nose, the genitals, all these don't belong to you, they belong to Krishna. So since they belong to Krishna, they have to be used in his service. Our process is a very joyful process. Krishna consciousness is not a dry process. Like of course in Moscow you don't have a temple, but in all our other cities where we have temples, our devotees begin to dance at 4:30 in the morning, they sing and dance. But the karmis don't sing and dance till they get drunk from vodka. They don't dance till they have a lot of music playing, and late in the night when it is very dark and romantic, then they feel like dancing. I challenge a karmi who will dance at 4:30 in the morning. But our devotees start dancing at 4:30 in the morning. The materialists cannot understand how you can live without illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat. They think that anybody who's living without these things is crazy. And we think that anybody who's living with these things is Sumasesha. So the point is that we abstain from these illicit activities because these are the desires of the Lord. So, by engaging in devotional service, you become aware of God and your position. A child, when he's young, he may walk naked. But when a child grows older, he understands that to walk naked is not his job. So similarly, when one is unaware of spiritual life, one thinks that sense enjoyment is normal. But when you become aware of spiritual consciousness, then you understand that sense gratification is not for me. But what do you do when you're living in a society where in all 4 directions there's only sense enjoyment? Even if you go to India, Vrindavan, you see so much of Maya. You have cinema halls there, you have cigarette shops there, you have everything there. So you insure yourself against Maya by buying the policy of devotional service. And that is the policy that we sell. In Russia, do they sell insurance policies? They sell body insurance. So we are also selling insurance, but we are selling insurance of the soul. So we have to tell all the people, you have an insurance for your body. Now please buy a policy for your dusha. And of course, any insurance you buy, you have to pay the premium. And the premium is chanting Hare Krishna, following regulated principles, associating with devotees, reading Prabhupada's books, and doing book distribution. Hare Krishna. Okay, so all of you are ready to pay the premium? Yes. And then you can sit on the plane that will take you to Vaikuntha. I was told that if you want to get a seat on Aeroflot, you have to book 6 months ahead. Now on this Vaikuntha float, there are plenty of seats. Vaikuntha float. Airfloat? I said Vaikuntha float. On this Vaikuntha float, they have many seats, but they need some good passengers. Okay, Hare Krishna. So I'll just take questions for 10 more minutes, that's all.
You were speaking about special sheep. Is it reality?
Well, the plane came to take Dhruva Maharaj. Some more vaprose? Anyway, the plane may come for you also. So anyway, become Dhruva Maharaj.
Is it compulsory to follow 100% fasting during pandemic?
No, Prabhupada really, when he was on the planet, he never encouraged us to do that. But if somebody wants to do it, he can do it, but it's not compulsory. Okay, what you saying? These questions are so complicated. It doesn't matter what answer I give you, you will never be in that platform. So why worry about these questions? Any way you want to associate with Krishna, you can, no problem. Krishna will accept it.
What is the difference between influences of Yogamaya and Mahamaya?
One bewilders you and the other is Krishna's energy. So now all of you should read the Bhagavad Gita. We have the Bhagavad Gita in Ruski. So all of you have copies of Bhagavad Gita? Yogamaya is Krishna's energy. Yes, but Yogamaya is when Krishna appears and he wants to hide his identity. But Yogamaya is spiritual. Actually, everything is Krishna. Even the spiritual energy is Krishna, the material energy is Krishna.
When Krishna came here with his main principal associates, there would be somebody who remains there. I mean Krishna, some Krishna who remains there.
Where?
In Vaikuntha.
So when Krishna comes, when he came on this planet, he came in his original form. Wherever Krishna goes, that becomes Vaikuntha.
So he didn't remain in the spiritual world?
So when Krishna was on this planet, that was Vaikuntha. This becomes the spiritual world when he descends over here.
And there was no other Goloka Vrindavan?
That Goloka Vrindavan goes on. Krishna is capable of expanding himself into unlimited form.
But he never left Goloka Vrindavan.
No, but when Krishna comes on this other planet to display his pastimes,
He means to go back centuries back, and be born in some
Iron Age
or whatever.
If the living entity engages in sinful activities today and he dies, then he has to take on another body based on his karma.
Suddenly.
Death comes suddenly.
Yes. And there are some prophets who can foresee the death. How they are able to see the forthcoming death?
I cannot say how they are able to foresee. But one who is engaged in serving the Lord, he has no reason to worry. Even if death comes, he'll just go on serving the Lord.
Self-realization is a gradual process. And I want to ask if it is possible to self-realize for one person without self-realization of all other persons.
To get self-realized.
Of course, just like when you eat food goes into your stomach, not into the stomach of all your relatives. So self-realization is highly individual.
But you see, various people try to contact me, and every time I'm beaten from the road, you see. And of course it is very difficult to realize, to self-realize. This is the one part.
Okay, 1 second.
And another part depends on...
Let me answer this question. Let me explain what self-realization means. Self-realization means to understand you're not this body. Self-realization means to understand that you're a servant of God. Self-realization means to understand that you must serve the Lord.
Should I try to teach somebody to do it?
Well, when you're convinced about something, you try to give it to everyone. Like the Russian government is convinced about Leninism, so they try to give Lenin's philosophy to everyone they meet.
And am I dependent on other person when I teach him?
Well, of course, the degree to which he will accept depends upon him. Like I can tell you something, but if you don't want to accept it, then
better not to take.
No, but you can do your duty. You do your duty to Krishna by preaching. Rest is not in your hand. Krishna says, do your duty, result is not in your hand. I'm just taking one last question. I want to thank all of you for participating in these discourses. Of course, if I had my way, I would probably stay at 365 days and lecture to all of you. But since Prabhupada has also given me some other service of looking after the big temples of Vrindavan and Bombay and Delhi, I also have to go back. And I don't think the Russian government would give me a visa to stay here 365 days. So we have to make the best use of a bad bargain. So I'm going to be back in Moscow on Friday. And on Friday we'll have a program at Vidura's temple starting at 12:30. And the program can go until 6 o'clock, no more than 6. And then, if Krishna desires, I'll see you again after a few months, maybe November, December. Chant your rounds. I see in this audience there are many people who are chanting 16 rounds. But our goal is not just to chant 16 rounds, but it is to chant 16 good quality rounds. I'll tell you a story. Once an Indian had come back from abroad, and his father told him, "Son, you must chant 16 rounds every day." So next day the father asked him, "Have you chanted your rounds?" He said, "Yes, I finished my rounds." Father said, "So fast? How did you chant?" He said, I took the beats. On the first beat I chanted the whole Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And on the other beat, I just said ditto, 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 ditto. So I finished my round. We don't want, in Japan they have a train called the bullet. So we don't want you to chant at the speed of the bullet. It is better to chant at the speed of the goods train that go in Russia. If you chant at the speed of the goods train, then you'll be able to hear everything you chant. Normally, it should take you 7 to 9 minutes to do one mala. If you're chanting in less than 7 minutes, that means instead of chanting 108 times, you're probably chanting 100 times or 95 times. If you're chanting in less than 7 minutes, that means instead of chanting 108 times on the mala, you're probably chanting less. You're skipping on beats. Sometimes people say, why 16 rounds? Why not 4, 8, 10? What is auspicious about 16? Just like when you're sick, you go to the doctor. The doctor gives you medicine. The doctor tells you take the medicine 4 times a day, once every 6 hours, and you'll become okay. Isn't it? Because then that medicine dose is enough to kill the germs for the next 6 hours. So if you chant for 2 hours in a day, then you can kill the germs of Maya for the next 22 hours. And if you don't chant for 2 hours a day, to kill the germs of Maya will be very difficult. So you must, even I, when I do my japa, I also keep a watch on the time to make sure that I am spending enough time on each mala. You have to improve the quality of your chanting. Just like if somebody gives you prasadam that is burnt, then you don't feel like eating. So don't burn your chanting. Any question just on chanting, not anything else, just on chanting your rounds.
I've heard that Prabhupada said that you can chant in about 5 minutes, so
5 goes a little fast. Anyway, the point is they must hear carefully. No, if you're hearing
108 beats.
Krishna had 108 gopis. Even the Christian rosaries are 108, I was told. And the Muslim rosaries are also 108. So, and those who are not chanting 16 rounds should try to chant 16 rounds. You also, and Doctor. And those who are not chanting at all, they must start chanting at least 1 or 2 or 4 rounds. You chant at all? You chant how many rounds? 3. So increase it to 4 or 5.
What moment can we increase the number of above the 16 number of rounds?
If you can do more than 16 rounds, it is not a sin. But if you do less than 16 rounds, it's a sin.
Can we chant in the public transport?
Yes, you can. You should chant all the time, 24 hours. But your 16 rounds that you count, you should try and do high quality at home. Just like you don't eat your lunch in the metro, you don't fall asleep in the metro. So you should be...
They say that we are sleeping in metro.
Sleep?
Yeah, we sleep in metro. They say.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So everybody knows where Friday the program is, Vidura's house? Okay, so thank you very much and I'll stop now. Hare Krishna.